Hello, everybody, and welcome to a mini-sode of Pod Stallions. I am Brian, and with me to my left is Jason.
Hello, everybody.
And we thought we would do a topic that there certainly isn't a dearth of videos about on YouTube right now. And
I haven't seen any.
The Snyder Cut of Justice League, which was just like everything, it was in between like puppy training videos and Snyder Cut, if you want to know where my brain is. And I finally sat down and watched this over 3 nights because of the aforementioned puppy. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk and give our take on it, because everyone needs to have their 2 cents on this, and there's really nothing else to talk about.
I just think there's been so little coverage of the Snyder Cut.
I feel like so overlooked.
We really need to. We really should do our part and bring some attention to this thing that nobody's talking about.
Yeah, now I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I didn't actually mind the theatrical version of Justice League. I was something of a that's okay. I enjoyed. I mean, this stuff is all kind of gossamer to me, and I haven't been really thrilled with DC's kind of darker take, but the Snyder Cut the original theatrical version had some high points. It wasn't a great film, but I enjoyed what it was for what it was. And I was not in the release of the Snyder Cut camp. I really was like whatever, but when they announced it, I was like, well, I'll watch it. Of course I'll watch it, because I like superhero movies. I like Justice League, but I had very low expectations. How about you?
Yeah, it's weird. I remember, I mean, for me, it like sort of put COVID into perspective, because I remember reading about this as a possibility. I think right when COVID was sort of kicking off, maybe. I almost remember where I was when I read this thing might be happening. So that was kind of an interesting feeling to suddenly go, oh God, it's already here. To be perfectly honest about the DC output of the last 15 years or so, I like the first 2 Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I think the third one is but I own them. But I think the first 2 are terrific. I really liked Wonder Woman. I thought it was terrific, that first one. Yeah. Didn't like Man of Steel, didn't like Batman vs Superman, found some of Justice League fine. So again, I don't have like I know going into this is not going to be the animated product, the Batman the animated series, the Superman animated series, the Justice League series, the 2 of them. And I just want stuff to be good. I want to be able to be surprised, or it's not a waste of time. It's not like completely. I don't think these things are abominations or anything like that. So I was kind of looking forward to it, partly because there's nothing going on, and also superhero stuff. Exactly what you said, like superhero stuff. Like, let's see how this is. And I wasn't real keen or eager to get to it, but as long as it was going to be offered, I was certainly going to, dip in and give it a try. And so it's interesting. I feel like that my overall takeaway was that just because it's 4 hours long doesn't mean it's necessarily better. Arguably, things are more linear, and it's better than the mishmash, I think, that was Justice League. I think that's what hindered it, is that it was tonally, it was kind of all over the place, and you could sort of tell that somebody had come in to do something.
Oh yeah, I think that was the most fascinating thing for me in watching this, was not that I had, because I'm like you, Man of Steel, I don't rewatch that often. Batman versus Superman, I thought was a real misfire with some really cool scenes, but like bizarre plot. But I mean, I bought the Batman versus Superman Blu-ray because there was scenes cut out of it, and I wanted to see the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was perplexed by the scenes that were cut out of it because they made the movie make sense, slightly more sense. And I was just completely like, why did they cut that? Like sitting there. So with the Snyder Cut, it was more like I'm one of those people that like I'll buy a disc of two versions of a film to see what happened.
Yeah, sure.
Like I have that kind of curiosity. So combining it with also like the Justice League is like, well, this is just made for me. I can't wait to watch this alternative version. So I was in like Flynn on that angle, I guess. But I was pleasantly surprised at its coherency.
Well, it was, what it is, that's a good, it is true. It is much more coherent than, and again, these are going to be a bunch of spoilers at some point in this thing. So if you haven't seen either of these things, you might want to stop this. But, for me, it was when plot did come in, I've seen things be critical of the info dumps and the plot that goes throughout this. But I would say that there's a couple of key scenes, one in particular, that tells you the gist of why all of this is happening in a much clearer way than the Joss Whedon cut did. And it involves the team, and it involves the boxes and Superman and all that stuff. They just sort of have this, round table moment, and you go, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like, that's what all the running around is. And, for that, I give it credit. And, a lot of things I think work better than the theatrical one. I think it's it's not prejudice, but my sort of perspective is that I never get the sense. I just get the sense that they're in a big hurry, that they know that what Marvel has done, they know the record that they have.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hurry up. Let's
build the universe.
Thing. Yeah. Let's build the universe. And kind of having to put this thing out, kind of said, I was talking to Alex, and he was like, yeah, and they put it out that, like the day before the Falcon, Winter Soldier thing, or one of the either the finale of one, I forget what it was.
Yeah.
And I said, he said he felt like it was a bit of a, a dig or something. And I said, I don't know. I think Marvel just sits back and goes, yeah, go ahead, put it out the same day if you want. it's just kind of letting everybody know again
voice.
that you don't really know what you're doing with this stuff, but you can put it out the same day. And that's the biggest thing for me. It's like the thing about the Marvel stuff, and now the two shows that are rolling out, or the one we had and the one that's happening, without a unifying voice or someone in charge, and it has to be the right person, obviously, because you and I could talk about many shows that we've liked or properties or whatever. It just kind of feels all over the place. And I think sadly, that's what's missing throughout all of this with these characters, is there are unifying voices, but they're not the right ones. They don't seem to understand how these characters work. You know what I find extraordinary too? Let me just throw this out and see what you think, because I think you're a little more DC than me. Superman, I mean, Batman obviously is the most popular now. Like, he's all over the place. Like he's taken over Superman's spot, kind of. But Superman is the character. I mean, he is the character, that symbol and everything.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so difficult to get him right?
I would honestly say it's not difficult to get him right. And Captain America, like Chris Evans' take on Captain America, proves that people do like an old-fashioned good guy. I think Superman has always been well cast, whether it was Cavill or Brendan Routh.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
The problem I have with the last 2 or 3 Superman films is, the Superman Returns was completely too mired in the Christopher Reeves universe. I think that should have been let go. I think they should have just reinterpreted rather than try to bring that magic back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, but it's. But
we got that kid.
Yeah. Which was painting it in a corner. And then, I really like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think
I do
he's
too.
a fantastic Superman. But
He's great. But he's kind of
something about Snyder. Snyder seems to really like Frank Miller, and he seems predilected with which to me, like, I would really like it if everyone just gave the Frank Miller crap a rest. He's not the only defining, like that Dark Knight. I've never been a big fan, and there's a lot of interpretations of Batman that could be done, and I just think that what he chose to do with the Superman character was interesting, but somehow it missed the most important thing about the character, and that is Superman is supposed to be better than us.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And his Superman is, like, it's like when you look at the scenes in Batman versus Superman, especially, he's saving people, and people are like, worshiping him like a god, and he's making this pained face, and it's like, what are we supposed to do with this? Like, what are we as an audience supposed to do looking at this? Like, are we supposed to feel empathy because, like, he can fly and he's indestructible and he's a good, like, I think they really needed to kind of get rid of that, and just the real dichotomy of Batman and Superman, that would be this guy who breaks people's legs, to and this guy
to get answers,
and this guy who's a big, super powerful Boy Scout, and that, like, we've never had that on screen, and that would be new and fresh. And there's your conflict in the movie, and I just don't understand why we haven't gotten that. We've gotten that. If you've ever seen the Bruce Timm, World's Finest film, that is the Batman Superman movie we should have gotten.
I was talking to somebody, was it you? I don't even remember who I was talking to, but I said that, oh no, I know where it was, but I said, if you've never seen that, because we were talking about the Snyder Cut with a couple of people, and I said, if you've never seen that, you need to watch it right away, because in one or two scenes, just scenes, they understand the dynamic between Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Clark, Superman, instantly. Like, you just go, there it is, right there. And it's the scene when they meet in person, and then it's the scene when they fight that night, and then the coda to the fight with the tracking device kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's all in a sequence of about 6 or 7 minutes of screen time, and you go, holy shit, there it is. That is the definition of people understanding what these characters are and giving you the goods, giving you the story. So yeah, there is this with the Snyder stuff. It's like there's a reluctance to let Superman be Superman, or there's a way to do, like, Chris Evans, Captain America, is a great example, and he walks the line perfectly.
Yeah,
I mean, he really does. Like, he's good and he's decent. But don't piss him off, and they could have done something similar with Superman, but this darkness, this I know it's over discussed,
and I just don't even understand why it all has to inhibit everyone.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing I'd say. Yes, that's perfect. That I was going to say, as you were talking about Man of Steel, there isn't like I couldn't stand the Flash in the Joss Whedon cut. It just because it felt crowbarred in to me. Whereas I didn't mind him in this one. It didn't feel as forced to me. It felt like you kind of need a little bit of that in the midst of everybody having issues. But on top of that, am I wrong, or does everybody have daddy issues?
That
Batman,
movie...
Superman, Aquaman's got stuff. The Flash has a father in prison. Wonder Woman she was made out of clay and doesn't have a dad. And Cyborg. And it's like, this is just redundant. I
think that's actually Justice League's theme, is daddy issues, because also Steppenwolf in this film is supposed to be Darkseid's kid. There's definitely. That's definitely, maybe it's heavy-handed, but there's definitely his recurring theme, and I'll respect that because it's intentional.
I mean, I do to a degree, but it's kind of like while we could say that Cyborg is better served in the Snyder Cut
Way better served.
by screen time, I also go, yeah, he's kind of a pain in the ass too. Like, okay, I get it. Your dad did something, it's like this constant, it's a drag. It just seemed to, those are the bits that I just was like, this is really overwrought with the dad stuff. Like all of them, and I don't know enough about the original Aquaman and what his thing was, because this is, to me,
he has mom stuff.
He's got mom stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I always felt about the Aquaman movie, was that they kind of threw in Patrick Wilson. That was kind of their way of going, I know you want this. I know you want the blonde, old school.
Oh yeah, there was definitely an intentional thing with Orm looking like the Aqua or the comic Aquaman. Yeah.
We're gonna give you, fraternity.
You know what? I think imbuing, Jason Momoa's just general charisma onto that character really helps. I'm a huge Aquaman fan, and I kind of like, well, they've kind of made Aquaman cool, and yeah, I don't know. I don't have a humongous problem.
I don't really have any. He didn't show up when he was announced, and I went, oh man. How come we're not getting blonde? No, I have no connection to the character. I just feel I don't like it when, if anything feels too kind of forced. Yeah. And it just seems like because Momoa is, like you say, he's a charisma machine. I mean, the guy is like, you can't take your eyes off him. But if everything's, I don't like you coming around here because I'm drinking beer and I'm doing, it just is like, okay, let's find another way to tell the same story with who this guy is, kind of. And it just, when it, I'll say this, when it works, I think it works pretty well. And I sat through it in one sitting. I watched the whole thing in one sitting. Mm-hmm. And I actually, the parts I liked seem to be the parts that people seem to hate the most, which is the last 30 minutes or so, the last 20 minutes of all the weird, endings and disparate sort of threads. And I kind of liked all that stuff.
Yeah, for me, and I'm just going to say this, I thought that it diffused what was, I thought, a terrific ending, which was the Flash's saving the day. I didn't see that coming, and I was really impressed with that, because it's also world building. Like, I think that's Flashpoint is going to be him going back in time and saving his mother. So I kind of thought that was like, hey, this is a nice surprise. And then we get, this tacked on Martian Manhunter ending with a Ben Affleck that looks like it's 4 years later. Like, he just.
So was that, let's talk about that though. Was that, my understanding was that there's only like 10 or 15% of that Snyder cut that was fresh footage. Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, I don't really have. I think a lot of the money went into like redoing some of the effects, and from what I understand, like, it's amazing what Whedon added into the film. Like, a lot of jokes, like bad jokes, and
like the boob joke thing with the fallen on Wonder Woman thing.
Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff, and then. No, what I think was tacked on is the Martian Manhunter scene, which was supposed to be a Green Lantern scene, but for some reason, according to my son, I'm gonna get all.
Is that the deal? So was that guy meant to be?
Originally, they had another actor playing John Stewart of the Green Lantern Corps.
Oh, they did. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that. So that dude, but that guy, because he's in Man of Steel, right? Or Batman versus Superman.
He's in both.
He's in both. So was he meant to be John Johns this whole time, or was that tacked on too?
I don't know, but I just thought the scenes of injecting him where he's Martha Kent, I didn't kind of get. Like, I thought that was a weird, like, why would he do that? And so I'm not really sure what that was about, but I did sort of like, I didn't really mind the ending with him coming, but then that dream sequence ending Yeah,
You
it
didn't
wasn't. For,
you
it
didn't
wasn't
like it?
for.
See,
It
see,
was okay.
I think I liked it because it was weird and it was like, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know he mentions Harley, and then, you know, the sexiest man alive who does his best to look gross in every movie. Jared Leto shows up and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is weird, you know. And I because I was seeing it, you know, I think I saw it that afternoon maybe, and so it's all fresh, and I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna make some big announcement next week, and like, here's what's coming, and maybe Snyder's coming back, and because it wasn't the gist of it that basically Snyder was going to do a Justice League movie that was in 2 parts, or was it 3 parts? Was that his plan?
I think it was. Yeah, I think he was going to do this film, and then he was going to do a second one where Darkseid invades. I think that's what it was.
Okay. Okay.
But you know, I would really like to know, like, what seems to have happened is they lost faith in him after Batman versus Superman. And, you know, to me, well, it's hard to tell because, you know, he's finished this now 4 years later after all the criticism and all that stuff, and maybe he's learned a lot. But this is probably his, you know, I personally view it as his best DC film. I'm not raving, but it's like
I would say that
this vision is coherent, and it's not for everyone. It's, you know, it's probably too dark. Like a lot of people my age seem to think they're sick of it. They're too, you know, it's too dark. It's too, but I actually found it the least bleak of all of them. Although, you know, I'm tired of Batman with machine guns too, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing something a little more, not Marvel like, but a little more true to DC, I think. And I don't know DC to be this kind of like dark and violent. Maybe it is because I don't really read comic books anymore.
Well, I think the Miller
yeah, the Miller influence is too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's overused to say that, but when it's true, it's true. It's like, I feel like that was that pocket of time, you know, Watchmen included. And you know how much I love Watchmen, but you had that tilt toward the dark, that you know never really left. I mean, you still had, you know, it got bright again, but there was still this way of doing things more adult and different, and so on. You know, it's funny because you look at what Nolan did. Nolan went back to the comics, but he went back to the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams era of Batman. And you can kind of see that. You get the grounding it in reality, and the, you know, the more Bond-esque kind of escapades and things like that, which is kind of what they were doing. They were kind of riffing on Lazenby, you know, the you know, Majesty's Secret Service kind of vibe. This one it's Miller, but I wonder if there's a correlation between Miller and his kind of worldview and Snyder's worldview, because Snyder is you know, is a Randian. He you know, follows, you know, Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something.
Shrugged. Yeah.
You think there's something there that sort of?
I think that really has a lot to do with his view of Superman. I think it infects his Superman with that objectivism, and I think that's the wrong take. Personally, I don't think. I think Superman is not. Superman is an altruist. He's somebody who gives of himself, and you know, I mean, you know, I've read Ayn Rand. That was passed around at business school when I was young, and it doesn't work for Superman. It just doesn't. And I think that template should be put away. And he should be,
to me, he should be the optimist. He should be aware of his gifts and the optimist. And if he's got angst or if he's got hang up, it should be because he can't be everywhere at once. That he is the American ideal. He's an immigrant. Yep. You know, who makes good. I think that performance is in Cavill. I do. I think he's underserved. I think he's. But you saw a little glimpse of it in
in Justice, this even in the Snyder Cut, he's
I think
not.
you see more of it in Snyder. I think he's better served in Snyder Cut
Yeah.
than he has been in the other two.
Well, I think the Whedon one, they tried too hard to be this, happy-go-lucky Superman, but I kind of liked Cavill as that happy-go-lucky Superman. Mustache, CGI aside, I won't get into that, but
you mean like the opening? Oh yeah, because that was all Whedon stuff, right?
That was all Whedon
with
stuff.
The videos
Yeah.
And yeah.
Some of it. Like now, I don't like. I don't know. I'm a man of two worlds. The Justice League, I think I watched it a bajillion times because it was on like our pay-per-view all the time, and I had that on, and but now I look at it and I go like, oh, now I see what was intentional and what, like even the opening sequence of Wonder Woman being a badass, I prefer the way. Well, for the most part, I prefer the way Snyder handled it, other than like Wonder Woman blows up an entire building to stop a guy, which is like.
Well, and then she looks at a child who's probably traumatized
at
seeing the destruction in front of her,
Yeah.
and says, how are you okay? And she's like, I want to be anything I want, or whatever, as opposed to, let's get you to triage because you're mentally scarred now. But the Superman thing, the thing that, like, maybe I'm wrong. Did I miss, like, the he comes back and he's got the black suit, which is, pretty freaking cool. That's a cool way to differentiate and make it a little different.
That's another
does
thing
anybody
I never want to see again is the
does anybody comment on it? Does anybody ever say, hey, nice, that's a new outfit, isn't it? Like, that's a new, like, does anybody actually, like, acknowledge that he's wearing this other thing? Any of the other characters say anything, or it just is? I forget.
I don't remember. I mean, that's added into the Snyder Cut, and of course it's from the 1990s, Death of Superman, which again is another thing that I wish we would just get away from, because it's, it was a gimmick, and there's so much better Superman stories to be told. It just smacks to me of, again, if you get somebody in charge that. And I know this is cliche to say at this point too, but like, if you could imagine, the writers and the producers that worked on all the animated stuff, the series, Deanie and Tim and what's the other guy's name? Andrew, not Andrew. If you said to them like, hey, you guys take a whack at it, here, give us a script for these two characters or this thing or whatever. That's what these characters need to me, is some kind of unifying vision that understands why these characters are so popular, why they do what they do, because people are going to see it anyway. Like, it's gonna, these movies. But the word of mouth kills them when they're not good, and they have these great opening weekends, and then they,
Well, I mean, Aquaman made $1 billion.
Yeah, Aquaman. Yeah, okay, but Aquaman was actually a pretty decent film.
That's obviously no, but it's obviously personal. It's obviously personal taste. But I mean, Aquaman, Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, Justice League. These movies, they and I know it's relative because Justice League cost, all is said and done, I think the original Whedon thing was like $300 million. Yeah. So obviously 600 million, isn't a hit. It has to make ridiculous sums of money. But, these things, people were, it's like none of them were duds. None of them were like financial duds. They were never going to be the Marvel stuff because they couldn't keep up that pace. They just didn't have the plan. But I just feel like if somebody could lay something out that wasn't so mishmash, and it still seems like they still don't quite know what they're doing with the Flash movie, and I think there's a Black Adam that's happening in 2022 they've been talking about for a decade, and then we've got the Matt Reeves Batman that's happening. You've got the TV Superman show that I've only seen one episode of, and I actually like that guy. I think he does.
My wife is hooked. She says it's a great
Oh, she is?
show.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
I haven't watched it, but
I like him. I like his presence, his screen presence. That guy.
Yeah, he works for me. I kind of burned out on the CW, but I've been told this is actually quite a good show. I'm in. You
Well,
know,
it's no Pennyworth. I keep telling you about Pennyworth. I'm
I'm
telling
still
you,
I'm still muddling through the second season of Doom Patrol. I love it, but it
I
takes me
love Doom
forever.
Patrol.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like a Doom Patrol, these things, like if you get the right voices behind this stuff, I think it's a
Well,
win-win.
that's a
It's going to
show
make
that can
money.
be dark and absurd, and I accept it. And but I think that yeah, like as much as I did like Snyder's Justice League, and I certainly felt like the cyborg stuff, especially, he's kind of the heart of the film, and I thought that was weird that he was so cut out of the Whedon version of it. Like God, I think that was a huge misfire. But I think it still, I don't know if we should end a film with the Justice League decapitating someone. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
I forgot about that. Well, it's not just that. It's like they Rasputin him. They like
Yeah.
somebody takes a punch and then somebody lasers him and then somebody kicks him in the nuts and then the head goes through. I mean, like everybody gets a shot at him on the way through the portal or something. I forgot about that. Yeah, Wonder Woman goes, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, see, there's also a couple of moments that are like, there's like an F-bomb and there's a couple of B-craps and whatever. And I don't find them jarring, like,
But do they need to be there?
but do they really need, is that really what,
Yeah.
There's ways to go R that you don't have to go. I don't necessarily think that these characters or these things should be, remember they talked for years. I don't know if it's still floating out there somewhere. That Tarantino wanted to do a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he wrote a script or if anybody's seen anything or he had a story idea or what. But the question was always, is it going to be like an R-rated Star Trek or something?
Well,
Like,
I don't.
are they going to?
Isn't like Picard got the F-bombs in it now? And
Picard's. Those are actually the most exciting parts of the entire show. Is when you hear an F-bomb in Picard, actually. But I just think, do you really want to go R with Star Trek in any way, even if it's a one-off? Like, I mean, I may be again in the minority here, but like the Joker movie, the Joaquin Phoenix one, you know what? 2 hours of my life I will never get back.
Yeah, I will never rewatch that.
I do not know what it was about that thing that it became this phenomenon of a film. Literally nothing happens in this movie. It is 2 hours of absolute nothing. I'm not sure what the point is. And then I also thought, well, you really should give Scorsese a screen credit for this thing, because it's just a mashup of Taxi Driver and
King of Comedy.
I mean, full stop. There's no, I think it was influenced by. No, it's pretty much the same.
I made a joke at that Oscars that Scorsese should show up in Joker makeup.
I mean, it's just like,
I think that would clear the room,
I mean, that's the moment I kind of felt this is what's going to happen to culture now, is that you're going to have a whole ton of people that don't know what Taxi Driver is and wouldn't know King of Comedy if it saved their life, that are going to look at Joker and go, oh my God, they really went somewhere weird with this. And it's like, yeah, it was done, and it was done.
They went to the video store.
Yeah, like this happened already.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the point of that was. It's just I don't know, but clearly I'm wrong, because it cost nothing and it made a ton and whatever. But I don't know if you need to. I think Nolan did it right in the sense of going about as dark as Batman needs to go with his the first two movies especially.
I think that the thing that Nolan that bothers me is he was obsessed with this kind of hyper realism, like explaining everything and not making anything too comic booky.
Right.
And then the third one comes out and it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, no offense to those that like it, but like, what has Bane got on his face? What is that? Like, just to begin, like, this character is not. It's bizarre.
I know that I go on these tirades about voices and accents and things. Yeah. But this isn't like happening. This isn't live theater. You know what I mean? Like, this performance isn't happening on stage. opening night, and then the director can go, you need to bring this back or push that this way or whatever. Some of this is happening on set, but 99% of it is happening in post. Okay.
Yeah.
And you hear this voice and go, that works. That's gonna work just fine.
Yeah.
He is unintelligible throughout about 30% of it. And then the voice, the accent and the voice itself are all over the place. There's a section when he first meets Batman downstairs in that like underground thing.
Yeah.
I would bet you anything that they didn't get Tom Hardy back in to do some ADR, and they got somebody in that tried to sound like him, because it is so jarring, this moment in the film where all of a sudden it goes from to like, you're making, and it comes up a complete like 2 octaves, and you're like, who's that guy? Where did he come? So that's the kind of shit that I just go, none of that makes me forget, I don't forget any of that when I'm watching what's happening on screen. Like it's just getting sillier and sillier. And it was, I feel like it's, the more I've seen it over, the more the years have gone on, the more I've seen it, the more I feel like it's just not even in the same ballpark as the first two,
Yeah, I was kind of, I just remember like I was a huge fan of the first 2 films, and then that I went to see that one in the theater and was kind of like, what are they doing?
And why is he all broken? Like, it's only been a couple of years. Like he's really broken. They just, that was not a good. None of that worked out well, I don't think. But the first 2, I think, I'm saying, as far as darkness goes and like breaking people's faces and stuff. His scene in the jail cell with the Joker is about as far as you need to take that character in a movie. I think. Because eventually,
I think you're right.
You're trying to sell toys. You want kids to.
Yeah.
You don't want your 5-year-old in the Batman cape run around the kitchen dropping F-bombs.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Yeah. So would you recommend the Snyder Cut to friends?
Absolutely, because the people that I know that would know this stuff or have seen this stuff, I don't know how you can't watch this. You don't have to dig it. I think it's fine, but I'm glad I saw it. I think all of this is good conversation and good. There's certainly moments in it that work, and people are trying. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? I think you're right. I think it's probably the most coherent of the DC Warner Brothers stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like, and you I know you like Aquaman, but Aquaman to me is just like a giant video game, and so it's just, there's so much.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer Shazam, like that kind of a film where there's a lot of heart in it, and
well, that's interesting.
I had a lot of fun with Shazam, and I liked Wonder Woman. You didn't like Shazam?
I did not. I didn't hate it, but I have less connection to Shazam than I do to Aquaman. I'd say he's just, I know who he is, and it's, but my biggest problem was that you see the 2 kids, the one kid who's going to become Shazam, he sounds like this. He talks like me. He's kind of like, yeah, come on, I don't like this. I don't want to be a foster kid. I'm going to do this thing. He is an adult already at 14 or 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he becomes a man, and he's like, yeah, how does a Slurpee work? And it's just, and then there's that, it goes too far with that wacky big type stuff that I don't think it worked. I mean, for me, but people loved it. It made buckets of money, and everybody loved him and it. So what do I know? But it wasn't my. I think you need darkness and light, and you need a little salty and sweet, and But I prefer the one with Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore as father and son. They swap bodies.
God. Remember that was like a genre for a while?
It was. But wait, was that the second one or the third one? There were 3, I think. There was Big. There was one with
Judd Nelson and Fred Savage.
Nelson and Fred Savage.
Yeah. I forget what who cares what that was called.
And the third one was Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron. Was that the one?
Well, there was also one.
Oh, no. Hold on. Judge Reinhold. It was it was Judge Reinhold. It was vice versa.
Vice versa. Yeah. Sorry. Did I say Judd Nelson?
Yeah, but then the
very
third
different film.
The third one was called like Father Like Son, and that was the Dudley Moore. That's when the formula broke.
Yeah. Well, there's also like Dream a Little Dream, which is one of the Corey's becomes young.
I think both
And-
Coreys are in that.
And isn't there one with like George Burns?
Yes. 18 again.
18 again, yeah.
Why do I know that? No, but that's not a swap. That is, I believe.
Isn't
is
it?
a swap? No, it is a swap.
It is a swap.
It is a swap. So Burns becomes like a horny 20-year-old, and the other guy starts acting like George Burns. He's just like doing a George Burns impression, I think.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if that's a body swap. Send us letters, let us know, but I don't think that's a body swap movie. I think he becomes 18 somehow, or his thing goes inside to his thing. That sounded bad. George Burns' persona.
Did.
George Burns' persona goes inside the young gentleman who's in the film, and he starts talking like this the whole movie with the cigar.
They switch their souls. I just Wikipedia'd 18 again.
So
That's in my search history
by
now.
the way, you've just been flagged. The Canadian government has just flagged you for something because you looked that movie up.
Yeah.
So George Burns is walking around acting like a youngster in that movie.
I guess I
think we need to watch this. We need to have a viewing party and record it.
Yeah, I'll be right over.
There you go. Where else are you going to get? Let me tell you something. Wherever you go to get information about the Snyder Cut, I promise you, no one will be
not segue into father-son switcheroo movies.
You will not get body swap films of the late 80s in that conversation.
There may be a good reason why, but I don't care.
I think you're all the poorer for it if you don't. So you're welcome, everybody. Enjoy that.
Well, thanks, everybody. We'll be back very shortly.
Thanks, everybody.